you esteemed speakers for taking us through an insightful journey of HR. Today we have with us a distinguished people strategy and transformation leader with over 23 years of experience, driving organizational effectiveness, talent transformation, leadership development, and workforce capability across telecom, banking, shared services, hospitality, and digital businesses. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Shrikant Vadapalli. AV team, please play the video.
The search began with a simple requirement: someone who understands people, performance, and transformation. The profile that stood out? Dr. Shrikant Vadapalli. With over 23 years of experience across telecom, banking, hospitality, shared services, and digital businesses, he has helped organizations build leadership pipelines, strengthen culture, and prepare talent for the future. Today, as Head of Capability Development and Geo Platforms Academy at Reliance Jio, he continues to drive skills-based workforce planning, succession management, and AI-enabled capability building at scale. His learning journey includes executive programs and certifications from the University of Michigan, University of Illinois, Google, IBM, and Intel. Recognized among India's top 100 training minds, he has also received multiple awards for excellence in capability development and culture transformation. Final assessment, position filled. Exceptionally well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Shrikant Vadapalli.
Can I have my presentation on the screen, please? All right. Namaskar. देवियों और सज्जनों, IMA के अध्यक्षगण, सारे वक्तागण एवं मेरे प्रिय दोस्तों, डॉक्टर श्रीकांत वाड़ापल्ली नाम और थोड़ा ये हुलिया जचता नहीं है, but you will have to do with it. Okay, first of all, thank you very much IMA for inviting me here to be part of this August conference. Indore has always been a very nice place for me because it's one of those rare places जहाँ एक तरफ ओमकारेश्वर बैठे, एक तरफ महाकालेश्वर बैठे. So I would like to begin with that. त्र्यंबकम यजामहे सुगंधिम पुष्टिवर्धनम उर्वारिकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयम् अमृतात्. Artificial intelligence की बात कर रहे हैं हम. Before we go to artificial intelligence, first 10 minutes थोड़ा basics पे जाएंगे. ठीक है, हर कोई AI बोलता है, मशीन लर्निंग की हम बातें करते हैं, डीप लर्निंग बोलते हैं, न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स आते हैं, बहुत चीज़ें आती हैं. So just because I see the audience, it's a mix of students and professionals, we'll take it to a little basic level. Before we do that, जिंदगी में 3 चीज़ें बहुत ज़रूरी है: ज्ञान, कौशल और कुशलता. ज्ञान, जब 2 हाथ साथ में आते हैं तो ताली बजती है. कौशल, जो आप दिखाएंगे जब मेरा स्पीच खत्म होगा. और कुशलता, जो इस दिन के एंड तक आप सब, आई एम श्योर you'll build that kushalta and you'll show that how you can clap. So let's begin with a small display. Can I have a round of applause please in the room? Thank you. All right, so this is called ज्ञान and कौशल जब साथ में आ जाते हैं. All right, बहुत बारी ऐसा होता है जब मैं कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में जाता हूँ, लोग कहते हैं, and I'm always a little apprehensive. I was checking with Chani also before I came up. कपड़े क्या पहनने हैं? So she said, sir, formal event है. मैंने कहा, अच्छा फिर तो सूट पहनना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, yeah, there have been places that I was sharing with her. I walked in my dhoti and kurta because that's what I'm most comfortable in. I have walked to some conferences when I do sessions in Geo Institute, which is our own institute where we train people on AI and data analytics. I have done sessions in shorts and t-shirts. All right, so you're lucky that I'm a little dressed today while I address all of you. All right, so let's move. So my romance with AI essentially began while I was growing up, just like many people in this room. Okay, how do I go back? This was the first introduction to AI I had while I was growing up. All right, how many of you have seen this movie? There have been 5 sequels or 4, I don't remember. But when I was growing up, I saw the first one and I was mesmerized. The famous dialogue of Arnold saying, "I'll be back." All right, I still remember that, and that was my first romance with what can happen, what are the possibilities of artificial intelligence. Then Mr. Spielberg came in and he brought in a movie called as Artificial Intelligence for all of us. I was still grappling with, okay, possibility hai, technology shayad future mein aisi hogi. Then came the Matrix, blew my mind out, virtual reality and everything that happened. तब भी मुझे समझ नहीं आया था, but I was very fascinated. You know, what is this? How will the world change? What will happen in my life? And then I saw this. This is one of the best artificial intelligence movies I have seen, and I'm not trying to say anything wrong. शायद मेरी समझ थोड़ी कम है, भगवान ने इतना दिमाग दिया नहीं है मुझे. I actually felt the movie required some amount of artificial intelligence in me to understand. One. Second, I think it's one of the best suspense thrillers I've seen in my life. Why a suspense thriller? Because till the end of the movie, I was trying to figure out who's the robot in the movie based on the acting skills that were displayed. All right. So now, coming back to the main topic, why all of us are here. Let's go to basics, as I said. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is technologies in combination that let a machine or an application to replicate human processes or actions. Simple. Second stage. What is then machine learning? A subpart of that AI that lets a machine or an application to improve its own processes. When a machine keeps on learning by itself, making the process smoother and better and more efficient. Then what is deep learning? Artificial intelligence algorithms that use machine learning so that it can learn and think autonomously. So what happens? How does it begin? It starts at the lower end, where deep learning, that's where the data starts to go in. It moves to machine learning, which eventually becomes artificial intelligence. Samajh aa gaya itna? Okay, 3 basic concepts that you should know. Neural networks वगैरह बाद में सोचेंगे जिंदगी में. पहले ये 3 चीजें समझ जाते हैं. Because I always felt it's called the curse of knowledge, and many of management professionals who keep reading like me would know there are many examples of curse of knowledge. क्योंकि मुझे समझ आता है, सबको समझ आता है. Okay, I have sat on that side of the stage many times. I walked out thinking मैं क्यों आया था और क्या सुन के गया. So that's the reason I ensure I go down to the basics first and then move on from there. The topic of the day, ladies and gentlemen, humaning the future of work. In the next 30 odd minutes, I'm going to leave you with not answers. So if you're here looking for answers from me, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you with more questions and a couple of thoughts. Because I feel, although we have artificial intelligence today, I'm still a true believer of natural intelligence. And I respect that. All right? So I will leave the answers to you for you to figure out what is your path. But I'll leave you with a lot of questions as HR professionals. Okay? So, as technology becomes smarter, okay, this is the question the Indore Management Association has put at the heart of its conclave. That's the theme. And I want to sit with it for a moment, and all of us. Because I think many of us are answering the wrong version of it, right? When a leading IT company rolled out its AI platform recently, they measured adoption rates, efficiency gains, cost savings. What they really didn't measure, the human residue. What was it leading to? Okay, the anxiety, the identity loss, the quiet existential question that every employee was asking, but nobody was answering. What is my value now? Okay, the technology worked perfectly. The humans didn't know where they stood. The gap that we are talking about is what we are talking about today. Most organizations are asking, how do we adopt AI? The better question is, how do we remain human while adopting AI? I started my career in an organization called as General Electric around about 24 years ago, long time. This is the first thing they taught me, all right? So Shrikant, Angrezi theek hai, in God we trust, rest everyone bring data. So let me give you a few analysis, and my friends from Deloitte might correct me if I'm wrong here. This is some of the data that's available for all of us, okay, to look at. 80% AI usage when I talk about India. It says India is not just adopting AI, in many ways we are leading the world. 4 in 5 employed Indians in corporates and other sectors use AI multiple times a week, and that is extraordinary, but there is a paradox. At the same time, there is a 72% burnout. So if AI was supposed to make my life easier, why is there a burnout? I should be happily holidaying in Seychelles while the AI agent or the agentic framework I put into play is doing everything that I need to do. 23% engagement. Only 23 out of 100 employees come to work truly engaged. Okay? Gallup calls the other 59% quiet quitters. And many times when I walk the corridors of many organizations where I work, and I've said, have you heard? He's looking out. And the only answer I get, who's not? Sab dhoond rahe, sab naukri dhoond rahe. All right? 19%. Here is one that really stopped me. Only 19% of HR leaders globally consider AI's emotional impact while designing their digital transformation strategy. We are building the most sophisticated machine environment that humans have ever known, but we're not asking how it makes people feel. And who does that responsibility lie with? That lies with the word we love to call human resources. All right? We'll come to the human part of it in some time. The data is telling us something. Our organizations are getting smarter and our people are getting lonelier. This is the crisis, human design, we need to address. All right, quickly. I'm not going to keep, you can keep looking at the slides because I'm not reading out the slides. I'm just saying my thoughts about the slides, okay? I think they're big enough for all of you to read as I speak about my thoughts. Imagine you have a friend who knows everything about medicine. They can diagnose any illness, anything, suggest any treatment, and you call him up and you're like, I am not feeling too well. अगर आपको खांसी है, एक दबाएं. अगर जुकाम है, 2 दबाएं. अगर बुखार भी है तो 3 दबाएं. कुछ नहीं चल रहा है तो बिगॉन स्प्रे खरीद लें. Doesn't work. All right? There is, and I'll quote a similar example. Today, around about 10 years back when the IVRs came out, everybody in the industry thought that the contact center industry is over, it is history, because अब तो IVR करेगा सब कुछ. मुझे लोगों की जरूरत ही नहीं है कंपनी में. Contact center बंद कर दो. But I can challenge, and this I'm saying with 100% conviction. We have around about 150, 125 people in the room. Each one of us, when we call up a bank or any service where there's an IVR, we are grappling to find that number 9 that will take me back to a human. So, who are we fooling here? We need a human. All right. Okay. So similarly, a large private sector bank, adopted an AI-driven performance management system. Perfect data, accurate scores, completely fair by all algorithmic measures. Within 6 months, they had a 34% spike in their attrition rate. 34%. And why is that? Because all the data they had was correct. I'm not saying it was incorrect. Humans still needed somebody to sit with them and tell them what they were doing right, where they could be better, not reading it as a message on an email saying this is what you can do better. And that's what AI was doing. Okay? The machines were right, but the relationship was broken. That was the problem. All right, so quickly, very simple architecture when it comes to humaning AI. All right, everybody's seeing Titan on Hotstar or wherever it is, and everybody's amazed by it. I think it's been made beautifully and very mesmerizing. So the Titan company in India, when they started, they didn't just tell the culture they built, and ma'am spoke about culture. The culture they built was not that we are making jewelry. They put an emotion to every jewelry, because especially in our country, every jewelry is used for a certain occasion. So when the workers are designing rings, they spoke about marriage, and that's the intent they put in their workers. Okay? When the workers were making necklaces, they spoke about a father investing in his daughter's wedding. That's the emotion. Are we able to get purpose into what we do as HR? That is the question, again, I'm leaving you with. All right? Radical listening. The most powerful HR intervention, I was speaking with somebody here in the morning, and we said, yes, the trait that we are losing out today, day by day in humans, is the ability to listen. And somebody's making money out of it, by the way. All right, you can connect with her later. So how do we sit down and listen? Can AI listen? Yes. Today, I've seen many lonely souls whose Siri has become a best friend to. Imagine you're talking to your phone all day, and that's the only companion you're left with in life. Is that the life you want for yourself or for your employees? Is the thought I want to leave you with. Okay? Again, example, Wipro replaced their annual appraisal system in around about 2024, what they call as career conversations, where they made it mandatory. हमारे यहाँ भी mandatory है, सब क्या mandatory होता है. साल के अंत में मैनेजर बैठते हैं, सामने एम्प्लॉय बैठता है, एम्प्लॉय से पूछा जाता है, आपको कोई गिले शिकवे हैं? एम्प्लॉय कहता है, नहीं, मुझे तो नौकरी करनी, मैं गिले शिकवे कैसे रखूंगा? मैनेजर कहता है, तुमने ये ठीक किया, ये ठीक नहीं किया, बाकी अगले साल बात करेंगे. Let's stop doing things as a check-in-the-box activity, and that's the problem. My only fear with technology is, I don't know about AI, but we are becoming very mechanical as humans. We are doing things just for the heck of it. क्योंकि process है, क्योंकि करना है, HR ने बोला है. Think. All right, let's move on. Just a minute. Did I cover everything? All right. So, well-being as a strategy. That is the last one. Now, employee well-being is the flavor of the month, and we at HR are so good at finding these things. Trust me. Couple of years back, every conference I went to, the buzzword was VUCA, 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 VUCA. किसने उसका क्या किया कोई नहीं जानता आज तक. But हमने हर जगह VUCA, VUCA, VUCA बोला, and we were very progressive because including me as HR, मैंने भी हर जगह जाके VUCA बोला. कुछ दिन बाद वूका का फुल फॉर्म भी भूल गया, फिर याद करना पड़ा, कोई पूछेगा बेइज्जती हो जाएगी, समझ नहीं आएगा तो. ऑलराइट, वूका किया. नाउ ऑल ऑफ अस आर स्पीकिंग अबाउट एम्प्लॉय वेलबीइंग. वी आर कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग, वी आर गेटिंग इन वेंडर्स, वी आर putting in helplines for our customer, for our employees to call a third party and tell them that they are depressed. मैनेजर नौकरी क्यों कर रहा है यार? फिर निकाल दो मैनेजर को नौकरी से, पैसा बचेगा, कंपनी का भी फायदा है. एम्प्लॉय को भी बुरा नहीं लगेगा, सामने कोई रोज बैठता है मुंह बना के, उसको देख के ज्यादा डिप्रेशन हो रहा है मुझे. राइट? व्हाई? I'm not saying it is wrong. Please don't get me, incorrectly. I'm not saying it is not required. There are many conversations that, of course, employees or a human being cannot have with somebody who's part of their environment, and they need a third party to speak with openly. Maybe इसी manager को गाली देना चाहते हैं वो. Understood. But what is the core role of human resources and a manager if a third party has to, during appraisal time and after appraisal time, has to pick up phones and tell people, don't worry, next year will be good. Look at your strengths. See what you can work better on. Forget about what's not gone right. Why? That's another question I'm going to leave you with. All right, as I said, I can only ask questions. My intellect level is very low. I'm not as intellectual as the other speakers in the room. Maybe you can approach them for answers. I don't have answers for you. All right, human AI balance, the core that we are here to speak about. Okay, Indian employees, of course, they're extraordinary. I work in an Indian organization. They use AI more than any workforce right now if you actually look at the data. And here is what IDC found. They have 8% less trust in Gen AI than the global average. Okay? They will use AI as an assistant, but resist AI as an authority. They will use it to draft a report. They refuse to accept AI-generated performance scores. The distinction is everything. Our job is to design systems that earn that trust, not the ones that demand compliance. And the beauty about AI or any technology, I don't know how many of you have been watching all the Hollywood sci-fi series where they say every time the person who designs a chip in a computer, in that chip, he leaves his mark. He or she designs the chip in a certain way where you can see his or her mark. It's like a painting when you look at it and you see this is Picasso. When you look at a chip, you can tell who actually designed that chip. That is the beauty of technology. Technology वही बनेगा जो आप उसको बनाएंगे. So if we are the people who are designing artificial intelligence, providing from deep learning to machine learning to artificial intelligence, वो जो deep learning वाला part है, वो हम बना रहे हैं. अगर हम बना रहे हैं, तो हम राक्षस क्यों बना रहे हैं? इंसान क्यों नहीं बना रहे? That's another question I'm going to leave you with. Okay, so I want to ask every management professional in this room something a little uncomfortable. If someone who knew you in 2015, especially people of my age who are in the room, walked into your office today, would they see a fundamentally different leader or someone who has a new laptop, a better cabin, and a subscription to ChatGPT? Is a question, again, you need to ask yourselves as HR leaders and management professionals. Conferee surveyed 56 actually leaders across 50 countries in 2025. More than 1/3 of CHROs now spend majority of their time leading transformation efforts, not managing operations. Excellent. 60% see themselves as C-suite peers, not support functions, and strategic architects. It's a great thing to do. That's what we call as a team management. As you become more strategic, from your deep, you go into strategy. Understood. But why are you leaving your human element? What is so wrong being called a support function? Why have we stopped supporting people as HR? I'm sorry I'm asking uncomfortable questions, but these are my thoughts. You can take it or leave it. I'll leave that up to your intellect. All right. Lakshmi Chandrasekharan, the CHR of Accenture India, of course, she made a statement in Business Today in April this year. I think it should be framed in every HR's office. And I'll read it out to you. I'm paraphrasing. The CHRO's job is no longer to manage HR. It is to deconstruct every job in the organization, identify where human judgment and creativity add unique value, and redesign the work architecture from first principles. That is not an HR role, that is business transformation role, and she's right. Okay? All right. Let's move ahead. I think Tanya ma'am touched upon this generational gap that we speak about. You can look at all of this. I have just one statement to make. Everything else is all there on the slide. Where is the problem? The problem is core of your management professionals, Apex, CHROs, people like me, we are sitting between traditionals and baby boomers. And we are defining strategy for Generation Y and Generation Z. There is almost a 32-year gap in thought process. And the apprehension I have, and I do it myself being part of the fraternity, we come with a paternalistic approach. हम 4 जीव बुद्धि जो बैठे हैं इस एसी के कमरे में, हम बैठ के 25,000 लोगों की जिंदगियां डिसाइड कर लेंगे. क्योंकि भगवान ने हमें बहुत दिमाग दिया है. हमसे ही चलती है दुनिया. Where is the gap? That is the gap. If you're designing something for a workforce, the world is moving towards personalization and hyper-personalization. Where is that? I think Tanya ma'am made a very apt point in the morning when she spoke. She said, one glove cannot fit all because the needs of each generation are different. The first two might not actually open AI ever. And just because it is the buzzword, अपने बेटे को बोलेंगे वो जरा चैट जीपीटी खोल के दिखा क्या होता है, आजकल ऑफिस में सब इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. Very impressed, because there's no age to learning. But we just want to know, we don't want to learn. And the people who are actually going to be using that entire thing, उनकी strategy और systems हम design कर रहे हैं, जिनको पता ही नहीं है करना क्या है. Agentic AI और AI agent में क्या फर्क होता है. I'm happy that there's a stage, and I'm standing a little away from all of you. नहीं तो अभी तक शायद बहुत लोगों ने मेरी पिटाई कर दी होती with the kind of questions I'm asking and what I'm telling all of you here. All right, well-being, as I said, is not a benefits program, okay? It's a performance strategy, okay? So let me tell you about a woman called Priya I knew. I've changed the name, of course. Very high-performing team member, mid-sized fintech in Bangalore. She was building dashboards, tracking metrics, doing very well, was always a top performer, and the organization thought we've kept her so well, and she was rated again, she was a top performer, and she quit. And when she was asked in her exit interview, once again, the exit interview was conducted by an AI chatbot, asking her why she quit. She said, all of you knew what I do, nobody knew me as a person. And that's the reason she quit that job. Okay? How has Gen Z changed? Gen Z has changed our entire outlook towards how we come to work. They don't come to work for designations. They don't come to work. They really don't care two hoots about money. Trust me. They have more clarity than I've had in my last 25 years of professional experience, because Gen Zs know exactly why they need that money, till when they need that money, and what are they going to do with it. None of them come to work thinking they are here forever or married to this organization or any organization. When I speak to Gen Zs in my own organization, they tell me, sir, gulami kuch din tak अच्छी लगती है, उसके बाद तो खुद का सेठ बनना पड़ता है. That is Gen Z for you. All right? So let's stop putting HR को हम ही ने बदनाम किया. 4 ईमेल भेज देंगे वेलबींग के बारे में, 2 पोस्टर लगा देंगे, 1 योगा सेशन करा लेंगे, वेलबींग हम बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं. हम ही ने बदनाम किया एचआर को. Okay? Well-being is not, it is, all these are part of well-being, but well-being is more about one-to-one connect. How well do you know your people? Okay? Somebody once told me technology will go so ahead in life one day when you use your laptop, because your finger is connected to the trackpad. The trackpad will have the same mechanisms as your smartwatch, and your HR and manager will come to know if there is any blip in your heartbeat or your anxiety levels are going up or any of such issues. I said, very nice, I'm so impressed. उसके बाद क्या करेंगे? पता चल गया मैनेजर को इसकी हार्टबीट ज्यादा है. मैं तो मैनेजर हूं यार, उसको पानी पिला दो. एचआर क्या करेगा? महीने के मेट्रिक्स बनाएगा, डैशबोर्ड बनाएगा, भेज देगा. आपकी टीम में 4 मैनेजर का हार्ट इस महीने ज्यादा बीट हुआ था, 2 लोगों का कम बीट हुआ था, 4 लोगों का बंद होना चल ही नहीं रहा है, देख लीजिए जिंदा है, मर गए, नहीं तो किसी को बुला के भेज देंगे. बस यही होने वाला है. सो हु इज द एनिमी? And I'm saying, that's why I started with saying, step back, we are, I think, taking the topic entirely wrong. Humaning HR in the age of AI, let's call it humaning humans in the age of AI. That's more important. All right? Okay, so quickly. 3 mandates I'm going to leave all of you with. This is what I want you to look at, okay, as you go back. Again, you don't have to take it, throw it in the trash. I'm fine with it. This is what I feel. आपको अच्छा लगे तो आप लोग देख सकते हैं. All right? Design for human energy, not human efficiency. First mandate that I have for all the management professionals here. All right? Make your empathy amplifier, not your empathy replacement. Empathy को replace करने की कोशिश मत करिए, empathy को amplify करिए. All right? And third and most important, become a chief meaning officer, then a chief HR officer. I think that's extremely important. All right. So the question again, who does the future belong to? Is it AI, technology, or humans? I would say the question is not about or the future belongs to technology and humans. They have to go. It's not a choice. They have to go hand in hand. Only then will we be able to actually scale what we are trying to do and create a better humanity. All right? So I think the theme puts it perfectly, where they've used words like people, purpose, performance in the age of AI, not instead of AI. It is in the age of AI. Please understand that. Okay? Quickly, the human advantage framework, I think every conversation, any conference finally ends up here. Will AI replace humans? If yes, what is it AI cannot do that humans can do? I think it is very simply put, what humans can do and what AI won't be able to do. To some extent it might, but it will be transactional. And this is what AI can do better than humans, and that's the reason AI is required. All right? So before you leave this room, ask yourself, who on my team felt invisible this week, and what will I do it by next Friday? Question one you need to ask yourself. What is that one process in my organization that exhausts people but could be redesigned? So start designing systems not to create more work. I am surprised when I look at systems. हमने नई टेक्नोलॉजी बनाई है, मुझे 4 लोग, हम तो HR है ना, हमें 4 लोग और चाहिए होंगे. फिर टेक्नोलॉजी क्यों बने? मैं 4 कम के साथ मेरा काम चल रहा था. Why do you bring in a system and you hire more people to run that system? Then the technology is absurd. Okay? And another point, I think Tanya ma'am touched on it in a very short way, where she said one glove doesn't fit all. You don't need an atom bomb to kill a mosquito. Please realize, and she gave a right example of the maturity of the organization. Where in the maturity curve is your organization? हम HR, मैं HR को मैं HR की बातें करूंगा. हम HR वालों को benchmarking करना बहुत पसंद है, and that's why we reach out to our friends from Deloitte here. All right? What is Google using? What is Meta using? हमें तो वही टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए. आप किधर हैं organizational maturity में? So please adopt technologies that work for you in your context as per your organizational maturity. Benchmarking is a good exercise. It helps you understand what's happening in the world. But that is where your intellect needs to come into play to what will work for you. Because what's working for Google won't work for you. Because that's the reason Google is Google. Understand. All right? Legacy of integrity. I think I'm reaching the close. I've battered you guys enough. All right? So, AI was not built by one company, one country, or one generation. It was built on the mathematics of Aryabhatta, the logic of Aristotle, the algorithms of Al-Khwarizmi. I don't know if you've heard about the person, the programming languages of Ada Lovelace, and the neural network theories of hundreds of researchers over decades. It is something we have created. We have to be proud of it and make it as human as possible. The question is, what will you do with that inheritance? That's a question you need to ask. Last slide. चक्रधारी, जिनको हम सब पूछते हैं, जब वो अवतार लेके आए और गीता उपदेश हुआ, कहीं उनने अर्जुन को ये नहीं बोला कि ये रण मैं लड़ूंगा. लड़ना अर्जुन को ही था. उनने सिर्फ मार्ग दिखाया. Where I see, हम सब ने गीता पढ़ी है, जिन्होंने भी पढ़ी है, and thanks to B.R. Chopra, when he came up with Mahabharata, एक लाइन तो I think generation to generation हम सब ने रट ली थी, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. कर्म किए जाओ, फल की चिंता मत करो. फल आपका आउटपुट नहीं है. आउटपुट के बाद वो चलेगा नहीं चलेगा फल है. आउटपुट आपको लाना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो कर्म का कोई फायदा नहीं है. So let's stop translating things to our own convenience, all right? But as you move towards the 6th chapter of Gita, that's where it becomes even better, where in the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Athasashtodhyaha Shri Bhagavan Uvachaha, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha, sasanyasi cha yogi cha naniragnir nachagriyaha, sasanya samiti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava, yam sanyasra sankalpo yogi bhavati kashana. What does that mean? कर्म के साथ धर्म मत भूल जाओ मेरे भाई. सिर्फ कर्म करने से आपको प्राप्ति नहीं होगी. कर्म जब धर्म के साथ मिला के किया जाता है, तब वो कर्म का फल आपको सही मायने में मिलता है. And what is dharma? I'm sorry, इसको मैं थोड़ा आध्यात्मिक बना दे रहा हूँ, मैनेजमेंट ये प्रेजेंटेशन होना था. What is dharma? Dharma in very simple terms is anything that sustains life. To be honest, there is no word in the English dictionary that can define dharma. And some of us, as I said, मेरे में दिमाग कम है, intellectual souls have equated dharma to religion. It is not. Let's leave religion out. Religion is something we humans have created just like AI. Okay? Dharma is anything that sustains life. So if we are trying to sustain life, what is our dharma as management professional and CHROs and leaders? It is to ensure that every human being is being touched as a human, not as a transaction. Very important. Please remember that. All right? And the last slide. This is where I like to end. And I usually like to end this way. So 50 years from now, nobody will remember which AI model you used or created. Nobody will remember your chatbot. Nobody will remember your automation roadmap. But people will remember how they felt to work with you. मैंने 25 सालों में इंसानियत को कम होते हुए देखा है. मैंने एक एम्प्लॉय को एम्प्लॉय कोड बनते देखा है. मैंने एक एम्प्लॉय को एक ट्रांजैक्शन बनते देखा है. मैंने एक एम्प्लॉय को एक परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल मेट्रिक और प्रोडक्टिविटी मेट्रिक बनते देखा है. एंड द ऑडेसिटी इज, मैं ह्यूमन रिसोर्स में काम करता हूं जिसका पहला शब्द ह्यूमन है. I will leave you with something that has always been with me and touched my life. It's called Builders or Wreckers. I don't know how many of you have read it, but listen to it because it's made a lot of meaning in my life as I grow and I've grown in my journey. I watched them tearing a building down, a gang of men in a busy town. With a ho-hee-ho and a lusty yell, they swung a beam and the side wall fell. I asked the foreman, are these men skilled? He gave a laugh and said, no indeed, just unskilled labor is all I need. I can easily wreck in a day or two what the builders might have taken a year to do. And I thought to myself as I went my way, which of these roles have I tried to play? Am I a builder who works with care, measuring life with rule and square? Am I shaping my deeds to a well-made plan, patiently doing the best I can? Or am I a wrecker who wrecks the town, content with the labor of tearing down? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar. Thank you.
हम हमारे कर्म को पूरे धर्म के साथ अपनी लाइफ में आपकी लर्निंग्स को पूरी कौशल और कुशलता के साथ इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे. थैंक यू सर, दैट वाज इंडीड वेरी इंसाइटफुल. I would now like to call Ms. Rupal Mohta, a founder and CEO of Grow HR Recruitment Consultancy, for further proceedings. Before that, I'm sorry, I would like to call Mr. Gaurav Kataria, owner of DC Jewelers, to present Mr. Shrikant Vadapalli for a token of remembrance on behalf of IMA.